Bill 1321, is going to help us reach our carbon neutrality and decarbonize buildings in Montgomery County. ¿Se puede, verdad? We have an agenda full of great speakers today before the council is set to hear on this bill. And so first and foremost, I would like to just warm us up a little bit with a few chants. We're going to do Spanish and English, bilingual, okay? So in Spanish it's going to be, ¿qué queremos? And then la respuesta va a decir, queremos electricidad, okay? So, ¿qué queremos? Electricidad. ¿Cuándo? ¿Qué queremos? Electricidad. ¿Cuándo? 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 And so now in English we're going to say, what do we want? And then the answer is going to be, electrify new building. All right? And when I say what, now, what do we want? Electrify new building. What? Now. What do we want? Electrify new building. What? Now. What? Now. What? No. Woo! All right, my name is Alex. I'm one of the lead organizers for the CASA organization, and I'll be your MC today. For today, to kick us off, I want to introduce our first speaker, Mike Sidewell from the CAN Network.
Thank you everybody for coming today. I'm Mike Sidwell with Chesapeake Climate Action Network, Action Fund. Wow, it's great to see everybody. Beautiful signs. I love the brick building signs. They're excellent. That's what it's all about. We're going to electrify new buildings. And, you know, 1322 here in Montgomery County is a really big bill. It is a bill that is going to set a tone for this county for a long time. I want to thank County Executive Mark Elrich for being a sponsor of this bill. I want to thank Councilmember Hans Reamer for being a sponsor of this bill. And I want to thank all the groups that are here today. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. We tend at the local level to blame our local leaders for everything. We blame them for potholes and too many deer and everything in between. We're constantly blaming our local leaders. Well, today, when this bill passes, we will be able to blame our county council for safer, healthier homes for everyone. We will blame them for no longer having internal combustion and toxic gases inside our homes, especially poorly ventilated homes that tend to be for senior citizens and lower income communities. We'll blame the council for doing away with that once and for all. We will also blame this county council for lowering building rates and energy costs because electrification is cheaper than using fossil fuels. So we will blame them for that. We will blame them for a safer climate because instead of using gas, frack gas, combusting it in our homes and leaking it in our pipelines, we will have clean electricity from wind and solar, powering our hot water system, powering our heating and cooling, powering everything in our homes, thanks to this county council bill that would electrify all new buildings starting in 2024. And finally, we will blame them for beginning the end of the tragic gas explosions that happen way too often in our county. And with electrification, buildings don't blow up. And so we will blame them for that. So I want to thank all of you for coming. I want to thank all the council members, especially Hans Rimmer and Mark Elrich, for being true leaders on this bill. This is the future. This is what the Maryland Commission on Climate Change has said we must do, electrify all our new buildings, and we need to do it in a hurry. So with this visionary bill, with this hearing today, and with the vote, I know with your help, we're going to get to the council. We will electrify everything. Thank you very much. No toxic gases! No toxic gases! No toxic gases! No toxic gases! No toxic gases!
Thank you very much. I want to introduce our next speaker, Maria Enriquez from CASA, coming from us from Silver Spring. Maria, adelante.
Buenos días, mi nombre es María Enríquez. para nuestra familia y también
Alright guys, I'm going to introduce real quick. My name is Maria Enriquez. I am from Silver Spring, and I'm here to support today's bill to electrify all our buildings, reconstruction, renovation, and to get fossil fuels out of our homes.
I was like, where's your cane?
mucha gente se ha muerto por el gas, mucha gente ha habido, en muchos edificios ha habido muchas explosiones.
I believe so.
A lot of people have unfortunately lost their lives as a result of gas explosions right here in Montgomery County.
Por eso pues tenemos que apoyar la electricidad. No lo quiten con electricidad.
And that's why I'm here to say we must support electrifying all our buildings.
Gracias.
Thank you. Support it! Yes, we can! Yes, we can! Yes, we can! Yes, we can! Thank you. Muchas gracias, Maria. Next, I want to introduce a huge supporter of this bill, County Executive Mark Elrich.
Just like being on campus in Maryland 50 years ago. I'm really happy to be here. This legislation is really, really important. I think everybody is kind of aware of what's going on in the weather lately, and not just in Montgomery County, but around the world. There is not a single day where there is good news on the climate. All our estimates appear to have underestimated the damage and underestimated the speed. There was an article yesterday about the predictions for what Europe would look like, by 2100, and Europe starting to look like it a lot earlier than 2100. It's a serious problem. Montgomery County has a role to play. We cannot by ourselves change the world, but we do have the ability to exhibit leadership and give people hope and hopefully a path to move forward with. So the county's done two major things: building energy performance standards and the climate plan in itself, but also the International Green Building Codes. Those things will help us get to a greener future and help us get there faster. The legislation to require the electrification of buildings is a critical part of that. Without electrification of buildings, you cannot deal with climate change. There is no other way to go about that without taking fossil fuels out of the equation. And so I'm excited that we got this done. I was glad that Hans Riemer stood with me to get this done. I hope the council passes this. It is going to be landmark legislation. I've taken my own step. I've got solar panels on my roof now. I'm into my third month of operating them. I've seen a massive drop in my electric bill, more than enough to pay for what it's costing me to put the panels on. And they couldn't even put a full assembly on my roof because of the number of trees around my house. So I'm really happy to say that I've actually seen this working, and I know what a difference it can make. I look forward to working with the council and then ultimately with the businesses and residents of the county and helping them make this transition to electric buildings. So thank you all for coming out here to support this.
Give it up one more time for Mark Elrich, our county exec. All right, and we might be going out of order shooting here. No. Okay, Jerome? Jerome, all right, Jerome from IPL.
generation of families isn't breathing dirty air around them. It's not natural, and it's also not necessary. Any new home today can be treated as an electricity pump. And it for affordable housing was part of this business. Not at the last to electrify, not struggling on the gas station, the moral authority is for heating indoor air for the household that you make from. Work together, family power and light, action in Montgomery, State, I want to take back, Montgomery County, Illinois, we're all living our call. It's for the labor burning and for the little speaker. At home, in our sanctuary, across the country and beyond. Our people are saying equitable government our kids will continue to tell the truth about methane gas. And among all the ways that it's a natural to raise our voices in support of putting our county away from burning, starting with the truck. Thank you.
Let's keep warming up, guys. What do we want? Electrify new buildings. What do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? In Spanish?
¿Qué es lo que queremos? Muy bien. ¿Qué es lo que queremos? ¿Cuándo? Arturo, ¿qué es lo que queremos? ¿Cuándo?
Awesome. Give it up for Joel. Our next speaker we have is Francis Stewart from Chesapeake DSR.
Hey, this is my first time trying out a megaphone. This is kind of fun. I'm Dr. Francis Stewart. I have been a physician for a little over 40 years. And as you might imagine, the health effects of this really get my attention. Now, the health effects of climate change, we can talk till tomorrow morning at least. I want to talk to you mostly about what goes on when we burn gas in our homes. Now, some of it is dramatic, like the explosion in Silver Spring. Some of it's very, very potentially fatal, but maybe not quite as dramatic, like the carbon monoxide poisoning from a malfunctioning furnace that almost killed 4 members of my family. What most people have not heard about, although Joel's told you a little bit about, is what happens when you turn on that gas range. Now, I'm old enough to grow up with this slogan, cooking with gas. Thought that was a great thing. Turns out it's not such a great thing. That those things leak 24 hours a day, not just the old ones. You go get a brand new gas range from the Home Depot or wherever, it's going to leak. And it's going to leak methane that's really bad for the climate. It's also going to leak at least 20 different toxic compounds into the air in your home. And that's before you turn it on. Once you turn it on, it gets worse. You burn that methane, make carbon dioxide, that's not so great for the climate either, but you also make other nasty things like carbon monoxide, formaldehyde, stuff they use to preserve bodies. You don't really want to breathe it. Nitrogen oxides, all kinds of nasty things that cause asthma or make asthma worse. It's a huge problem in Maryland, especially for our children, that make other respiratory and cardiac problems worse, even affect our memories and the way we think. Now, the biggest effects you see in young children, but you also see disproportionate effects in low-income communities. Many of those people are living in smaller homes with less ventilation, so that stuff fills up in the air more. And many of them already have asthma. That's a huge problem in many low-income communities and communities of color. And many of them are exposed to lots of outdoor pollution. It adds up. And you think, okay, this is happening in my house. That's really bad. But then you have to open the windows. That stuff goes somewhere. Turns out that even though it's a pretty small amount of stuff, you would think, it really makes a difference. They did a study in California. If they electrified all the buildings in California, it would save over 300 lives every single year. It's a lot of people. Not so great for cooking with gas. And lots of better ways to do it now. Let's get this thing going.
No toxic gas! No toxic gas! No toxic gas! No toxic gas! No toxic gas!
Awesome. I want to introduce our next speaker, David Goodrich, a retired climate scientist. Give it up for David.
Thanks very much. This is my first time with a bullhorn too. My name's Dave Goodrich. I used to work for NOAA as a climate scientist, and I'm things I wanted to do was to ride my bike. As you can see, I ride that quite a bit. One of the places that I've ridden is the Permian Basin between New Mexico and Texas, which is a place where a lot of our natural gas comes from, and also a lot of our fossil fuels come from. And I can tell you from riding across it, what you see in every direction is like something out of order. You see gas flares everywhere you look, and those are just the ones that are burning. There is an enormous amount of methane coming off of the oil field, not just in Texas and New Mexico, but also I've ridden through the Bakken field in North Dakota. This is where where the gas of our homes is primarily coming from, along with Pennsylvania, a little bit closer. Now, burning methane is one thing, but releasing it, as far as climate goes, is even worse. Methane is a much more potent greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. So, by the process of making natural gas, all the leaks that Francis was talking about are going into the air and contributing to the warming that we see today. So one of the ways that we can slow down climate change is by, for starters, not burning methane, and next, not taking it out of the ground. So I really appreciate everyone coming here to support the bill. Our friends from CASA, and with a little luck, we can get this over the top. Thanks.
Awesome, guys. Thank you guys very much. We're going to finish this part of the rally with a bit of the electric slide that our friends have a couple of signs. But before we do that, we'd like to take a few pictures. So I don't know the county exec wants to get another one. Alright guys, and let's end this with a little bit of a chant. Remember, when I say what do we want, electrify new buildings, when do we want it now? So here we go, what do we want? Electrify new buildings! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Electrify new buildings! When do we want it? Now! When do we want it? Electrify new buildings! Now, en español, ¿qué es lo que queremos? Electricidad! ¿Qué es lo que queremos? Electricidad! Ahora! So we're going to end this one part with the electric slide, and obviously, you know, today's a jam-packed day, and so after this, we're going to have a rally for another bill that our organization is supporting, Bill 2222, which is also supported by the county exec on rent stabilization. So we're going to close off with a quick dance, and then we're going to shift gears in about 2 to 3 minutes to the other rally. Thank you guys so much for being here.
I got you.
There's no more minutes to do today, but yeah, let's do it.
Looks scared.
I'm a night side reporter. I was out running errands, and then one of the organizers texted me like, "Hey, come out!" So I just came. I'm technically not working, but I am going to probably. Oh, I have my phone today, so I'm like, I'm literally out running errands. My shift started until 3, so I'm like, okay. But hey, get ahead. And when oh my god, when I first started, I used to do that all the time, and I had to be a shy stop. What's your name again? Okay. I can't see you guys.